What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. As the years go on, sometimes his death has overshadowed his short life. But make no mistake about it, Jimi Hendrix was one of the great geniuses in music history. Considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest guitarist in rock and roll history. His influence is still felt today, more than 50 years since he passed away. Jimi Hendrix was a rock and roll guitarist, singer, and songwriter known for his electric guitar skills and wild showmanship. His prolific guitar playing and exceptional songwriting abilities catapulted him to fame and influenced musicians in other genres, including grunge, funk, and hard rock. One of his most legendary performances took place on stage at Woodstock Music Festival back in 1969, where he debuted his electric rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner. While his career lasted only 4 short years, with Hendrix dying in 1970, his status as a legendary rocker lives on. Jimi Hendrix was born in Seattle, Washington on November 27, 1942, and his name was Johnny Allen Hendrix. In 1946, his parents changed his name to James Marshall Hendrix. Born into a family beset with hardships, Hendrix retreated to his father's electric, blues, and rock and roll records at an early age. Inspired by the blues artist Muddy Waters, Hendrix taught himself to play the guitar. He received his first electric guitar when he turned 16 and subsequently dropped out of high school to focus on playing blues with his first group, the Rocking Kings. In 1961, when he was 18 years old, Hendrix enlisted as a paratrooper in the United States Army, where he formed a band called the King Casuals with a few of his fellow Army men. A year later, in 1962, Hendrix was honorably discharged. After Hendrix left the service, he started performing as a session musician, going by the name Jimmy James. He played backup guitar for the likes of B.B. King, Little Richard, Sam Cooke, and the Isley Brothers. When he wasn't touring, he played gigs around Greenwich Village in New York City with his own group, Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, as well as playing with the blues rock group Curtis Knight and the Squires. In 1966, Hendrix moved to London, England, to join forces with bassist Noel Redding and drummer Mitch Mitchell. Together, they were known as the Jimi Hendrix Experience. His manager, Chas Chandler, who played bass for the popular rock group The Animals, helped introduce Hendrix to British rockers such as Eric Clapton, the Beatles, The Who, and the Rolling Stones. In 1967, they released their first album titled Are You Experienced? Their first singer, Hey Joe, was incredibly well received upon its release in Britain. Jimi Hendrix would go on to gain the adoration of audiences in America while performing at the Monterey Pop Festival later that year. After releasing 2 new albums together, Axis Bold as Love and Electric Ladyland, named after the recording studio in which it was produced, Electric Lady Studios, the Jimi Hendrix Experience disbanded due to creative differences. Hendrix's first solo performance following the breakup was at the Woodstock Music Festival in 1969. Later that same year, Hendrix formed a group called the Band of Gypsies with bassist Billy Cox and drummer Buddy Miles. Their time together was short-lived, and they released one self-titled album. Unfortunately, on September 18, 1970, The prolific rock guitarist died due to drug-related complications in London. He was only 27 years old. Reportedly, he aspirated on his own vomit. At the time of Hendrix's passing, he had several unreleased recordings. A total of 12 posthumous albums would be released featuring Hendrix's songs, including The Cry of Love, Rainbow Bridge, and First Rays of the New Rising Sun. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back in 1992. Jimi Hendrix's style of music had certain characteristics. He had unconventional tuning. Hendrix rarely played a standard tuned guitar. Instead, he preferred to down-tune his guitar. He also made good use of effects pedals. If you're trying to get that signature Hendrix sound, you'll need 3 effects pedals: wah-wah, octave, and fuzz. The Hendrix chord, as it's known, is an E7. I'm not a good music reader, so I think they're saying an E7 pound 9, and is the secret ingredient to many bluesy Hendrix songs. Also, though Hendrix played lead guitar in nearly all of his groups, he played his licks with rhythm. He used his thumb to play the bass notes of chord shapes, and Hendrix was able to incorporate funk rhythms even while soloing. This technique has been a standard practice in rock and roll and can be heard in this 1967 song, Little Wing. And expressive solos. Hendrix's guitar playing was uniquely expressive without sacrificing technique. He played with enviable freedom, which made his live performances raw and unpredictable. He infamously set his guitar on fire at the Monterey Pop Festival following a rollicking solo in the song Wild Thing. His 1970 song Machine Gun features an iconic solo designed to mimic the sounds of warfare. His greatest songs, according to experts and fans: number 5, Voodoo Child, Slight Return, released in 1968 on Electric Ladyland. The song hit number 1 on the UK singles chart. The hit would be Hendrix's only chart-topping single in the UK. At number 4, All Along the Watchtower. This song was originally written by Bob Dylan for acoustic guitar. The Jimi Hendrix Experience released its electric version in 1968. It hit number 20 on the Billboard charts, making it Hendrix's highest-ranking hit in America. Number 3, The Wind Cries Mary. It was the 3rd single from the Jimi Hendrix Experience. It was released as the B-side to Purple Haze in the United States and later released on the album Are You Experienced. The track reached the 6th spot on the UK charts, a singles chart, back in 1967. Number 2, Purple Haze. This song was the 2nd single released by the Jimi Hendrix Experience in 1967. Fans have often interpreted lyrics as in reference to a psychedelic trip, but Hendrix has said its meaning is meant to be a love song. And the number 1 song by fans and experts, Hey Joe. This song was the spark that lit Hendrix's career aflame. The song was originally written by California-based band The Leaves, and Hendrix performed his version at New York's Cafe Wha in 1966. The Animals' bass player Chas Chandler heard Hendrix's rendition and convinced him to move to Europe to record the single and form the Jimi Hendrix Experience. But yeah, I wanted to do a video about Jimi Hendrix. And shout out to the brother Aram for the donation to the channel today. I saw that as well. I usually do these shouts out earlier, but I forgot at the beginning of the videos, but I forgot to do it when I was recording this. So shout out to the brother Aram for the donation to the channel. And tell me what you guys think.